Welcome to another edition of Bet with Bobano. It is Wednesday, May the 1st, a brand new month today. Ian Cameron with you. Connor Mack will be along in a few moments as well. Wednesday, MLB NBA playoffs will be the focus of today's show. Of course, this is a Wednesday, which usually means there's a lot of MLB games that have started already, and that is the case. A lot of day games usually on Wednesday, and we already have games that have finished, games that are already underway, games that are about to just start in a few moments. So we'll basically run down the rest of the card. There's really only 4 games left. Actually, there's more than that. There's about 7 or 8 still left. So we do have a decent amount of MLB games still left. C-Mac here in the house now. C-Mac, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Awesome stuff. Awesome to have you. Let's get into it. We got baseball. We've still got a bunch of games. There's one that is just about to start here. Cincinnati, San Diego. Phillies and Angels is already underway. It just started. But this one's just about to start. Reds and Padres. I took a shot with the Reds here at a plus price. First 5, full game. Little Reds team total over 3.5. I'm not a big Musgrove guy. I'm not liking what I'm seeing so far this season out of Joe Musgrove. I think Ashcraft is capable. And he's had a solid start to the year. So for me, I thought the Reds as an underdog there were worth a look. What did you think there? Cincy, San Diego.
Yeah, I can't back Musgrove until I see it. I still think his shoulder's messed up. You know, he looked a little bit better, but I think he's just kind of going through it. You know, everything's down a little bit on his fastball. He's 3-3. He just doesn't look comfortable out there on the mound. And as good, like he kind of gritted through the start, like against the Jays before. I mean, and he got ripped again just to the Phillies that last start. So I'm right with you. I think this is a Reds or nothing type game here. And it got over yesterday. Ashcraft, you know, can get touched a little on the road at times. Still has good stuff. But I think this game could get over here. As well. I think there could be runs again with these two pitchers.
I agree. But I like Cincinnati as well from a side perspective and their team total. All right, Colorado, Miami, Hudson and Munoz. Miami minus 140, home favorites. 9 the total. This has been a big move. This is 8, 8.5. It's now 9. I kind of agree. I don't trust either pitcher. Dakota Hudson's not someone I'm fully, enamored with backing. I don't think Munoz is going to pitch that deep into the game, and you have 2 pretty shitty bullpens, let's be honest. Colorado and Miami, they don't have good bullpens. Now, they don't have the greatest offenses at times either. The offenses can be hit or miss, but they were hitting, pretty decently against some bad pitching last night. So I think the move up in the total is correct here. What do you think, Connor?
Yeah, if you got before 9, that's the move, just because I would talk about it. This key number 9 baseball game, 5-4, 6-3 push, but I still think there's runs in this one. Yesterday 5 runs in the bottom of the 9th. Rockies, that bullpen's just garbage. You're always alive. Marlins have just been awful. One thing, Marlins finally came back, won yesterday, and actually this team is not good though. They should be minus 140. At all. Maybe like overall they're a little bit better than the Rockies, but this is crazy. Sidewise, I think you take the Rockies. I think Hudson gets hit. This guy's garbage. Man, he's garbage on the road. Yep. He's 0-4. He's been awful on the road the last couple of years. Yep. So look to some hitting props. I think the Marlins can get to him. The problem is sometimes the Rockies on the road, their offense, and the Marlins just have looked horrible this lineup. I think they get going. Josh Bell's been awful. He's got great numbers off. Maybe he can get going today. Chisholm's been all right, but not great. Arise hasn't really got going. De La Cruz, I think, has been pretty good. I looked at him. I took his RBI. It was plus 165 in this game and a little on his jack. I think it was 575. So a little air on De La Cruz.
Why not Ellie? He's been really good, of course, dangerous. So De La Cruz and Steer. Those have been the 2 guys, certainly, for the Reds in that series. This is the Miami. What am I thinking? This is Miami, De La Cruz, yeah.
Different Cruz, Brian De La Cruz. He's been solid, though. I think he's I think he's, like last year at 260, I think he could hit, 275, 25 homers. He's in the 2 spot. So it just depends on the hitter. But with the rise in front of him, he gets going. I think this is a good with Hudson on the mound. I think they could score some runs. So I think he's a solid look.
Okay, Yankees and Orioles next up. Luis Heel and Corbin Burns, the pitching matchup here. Baltimore minus 140, 45, home favorites, 8.5 the total. Definitely lean Orioles first 5 full game type of split. I mean, I'd certainly favor Burns over Heel. Luis Heel's he's okay. He's nothing to write home about. And I think in this ballpark, Camden Yards, he might have some difficulty when it's all said and done. So I like Baltimore a little bit. First 5 full game, maybe team total over 4.5. Baltimore, that's worth a look usually with this team, especially at home. I definitely look Baltimore. Not really interested in the Yankees here in this game or with this matchup. What do you think here, C-Mac?
Yeah, I was on the O's. I thought both these first 2 games, I thought the price was just wrong. The last couple days. This is more normal, I get. So you're paying a little bit. Burns has been good so far. We know sometimes the long ball could be his problem. And every once in a while he has a blow-up inning. And this is going for it. One thing, the Orioles, too, they just kind of own this Yankee team. The last couple of years, they just, like the Rays kind of do. They just have kicked their ass. Yankees, after scoring 30 runs in Milwaukee, those couple of games have just been able to do nothing the last couple of days. I don't know what we get from Hill here. I think the Yankees have some value. I love this Orioles team. They've been great. I just think the price is a little bit out there. So I was kind of looking Yankees. This was a big star for me here, but I didn't move on it.
All right, we got next up. It is the as we continue along, Chicago Cubs taking on the New York Mets. Imanaga, the lefty for the Cubs, and Buto here for the Mets. We've got the Cubs minus 125, road favorites, 7.5 the total in this game. My guy let me down last night, Javier Assad for the Chicago Cubs. I've been backing him quite a bit. Yeah. Not actually didn't pitch that bad, but no offense, no support for him. And Manaea, give him credit, he pitched well in that game last night for the New York Mets. Held them to just 1 run. It was really Alzolay who ruined the game for the Cubs coming out of the bullpen. He did not pitch well for Chicago. But I still think they had a pitching matchup advantage last night. It didn't play out that way because Manaea basically pitched to a dead heat, with Assad last night. Tonight's different. I definitely think there's a pitching edge for Imanaga. I really like Imanaga here for the Chicago Cubs. Been impressed with what I've seen from him so far this season for the Cubbies. Bounce back spot for them, too, after losing the game last night to the New York Mets. It's funny with Jose Buto, the righty. He had these great numbers in the first 4 starts, and you're thinking, wow, this guy might be pretty good, but his peripherals were bad. He was pitching well, but his peripherals were way higher. His xERA, his xFIP, and all those numbers were higher than his ERA. And finally, he had a bad start against the light-hitting Cardinals the last time out. St. Louis hasn't been a great offensive team. He gave up 4 runs, 2 home runs to them in 5.2 innings. I think the regression downward, could continue tonight for Buto. So I like the Cubs here. And I'm going to do a first 5 and full game money line split here around minus 125 with the Cubs. What do you think here, Connor?
Yeah, the Cubs bats just been a little bit cold. Versus and he walked 4. They just couldn't get anything going. I think they only had 3 hits there early. And then you mentioned Assad wasn't bad. The bullpen kind of blew it there. And what do we get in this one? Imanaga's been so good. I look at the under. Cubs in the under. I mean, how can you not? The guy's
5-0. Cubs 5-0 in Imanaga's 5 starts. They're 5-0. Yep.
He's been that good. I thought this signing was huge for them. A team that struggles with starting pitching, and he's been money. And I don't know. This Mets team hasn't really hit lefties all year long, and their offense is so hit and miss with them. So I just worry we kind of get. Are this Cub team going to step up and start making a move? They're 18-12, but I just worry about them lingering and coming kind of back down to earth. What they've done the last 8 years or so, 10 years. That they have the bats to me. So yeah, I like the Cubs in this one. Lean under.
Reds on the board, 1-0, top of the first against the Padres. Yeah, so good start. Keep it going. We got Reds first 5, Reds full game, Reds team total. Against Musgrove and the Padres. So they're off to a nice start there in the top of the first inning. Keep it up. All right, next up, we've got, as we continue along here, it is the San Francisco Giants taking on the Boston Red Sox. Miller and Crawford, the pitching matchup here. Boston minus 140 home favorites, total 8.5. I think if you bet this early, you're on the right side. I could only look at the Red Sox here. I'm a big fan of Cutter Crawford. He's obviously someone that we trust. He's had a pretty solid start to his 2024 season. For the Red Sox. I guess the last start against the Cubs, he got hit around a little bit, but only 3 earned runs. 10 hits. He stranded a lot of base runners. It wasn't his best start. It was his worst start, but that's pretty good when your worst start is a start where you give up 3 earned runs in 6 innings. Because before that, Crawford was just terrific. 1 run or less in each of his first 4 starts against the Angels, Orioles, Guardians, and Pirates. So he's pitched very well. He's given the Red Sox a chance to win every single time he's been on the mound. Looks like Miller is going to be one of these pitchers that's going to be more of a bullpen type of day here for the Giants. So, yeah, I think at minus 120 or so where it opened, the price looks a little bit cheap on Boston with Crawford on the mound, but now it's up to minus 140. I don't love it as much at this price, but for me, it's Boston or nothing. What do you think here, Connor?
Yeah, the Red Sox. I thought that price is just certain things. When you do this day in and day out, Logan Webb, they're going to price him, a favorite on the road where he's just a different pitcher. And not that he's bad. He has decent starts. And then under was great, too. I go right back to this under in this game. Giants bats. I don't want them. I don't think they're very good at all. I think they could hang in this game. Crawford's been good. I have one thing. He's been great for me, especially his first 5 unders. But I keep going back, and I got maybe not. Every year is different. He's looked better. He was so awful at home the first couple of years. I think he went 0-5 or 6 last year at Fenway Park. So especially he doesn't walk people. He's really good because he can work out of jams. But, I just think the price is a little steep here for the Red Sox, but under from here.
All right, liking the under. All right, we continue along here with the Wednesday MLB card. Next up, it is the Washington Nationals taking on the Texas Rangers. Trevor Williams, the resurgent Trevor Williams, who's actually pitched pretty well this year for the Nats. Andrew Heaney, the lefty for Texas. Texas up to minus 190 here as home favorites. The total 9 pretty much across the board. This is a huge move to the Rangers here. Like we're talking 30, 40 cents of line movement here toward the Texas side. Is it a reaction to Washington against lefties? Because they are only hitting .217 as a team against lefties. That is kind of concerning for Washington. But you look at Andrew Heaney, and he's still not a guy I'm fully in love with backing. Certainly not at this price. And you look at his starts this year. He gave up 6 to Houston, 3 to Tampa, and he struggled. He labored through that game. He labored through the Atlanta start. He gave up 2 home runs, 2 walks. He labored through the last game against Texas, 2 home runs allowed, or against Seattle, 2 home runs allowed, 4 runs, 5 hits, 6 innings. He hasn't had a clean ride. He hasn't had a clean start this year, Andrew Heaney, so far for Texas. There's a pretty big-ass price for him to be laying here. And then all I see Trevor Williams do, now if you want to quibble, Pittsburgh, San Fran, Oakland, Houston, who struggled, and Miami. It's not the best lineups he's faced. I get that. But still, he's 4-1. The Nats are 4-1 in his 5 starts. He's given up 3 runs or less in all 5 starts, 2 runs or less in 4 of his last 5 starts. So we'll see how he fares. He did face Texas last year. He gave up 4 runs, 7 hits, 6 innings, and Texas won 7-2. It does concern me a bit, but I'm very tempted to go with Washington here. Small bet, first 5 in full game. I just think now this price is too rich on Andrew Heaney, given what we've seen from him so far in the first month of the season. Like I said, Trevor Williams has been a pleasant surprise for the Nats. Maybe he's going to regress, and that's always a fear that you have.
Yes.
But I think, though, it's this price, I'd be tempted to take a shot with Washington. What do you think here, Connor?
I think that's the move. And if you got on the Rangers early, now it's starting to get way out there. I think Williams, who he's thrown against, those teams like you went through, Pirates, etc.
Yeah, that's true.
A's.
Weak line.
The regression's due to come. Yeah. And Heaney probably due to have a good game. Nats haven't been great against lefties. I think they could be better. The last couple of years, they were decent. So early in the year. So I think they think he's going to have a decent home start. I think they just think the Rangers going to put up some runs in this game. I think they've been the last week. I've seen a few of their games. It was ugly. The Red series. I mean, they couldn't get anything going really. But we know if they're clicking here, Garcia, Seager, Simeon, all this whole lineup, Carter, Smith, they could get rolling. So as much as I want to take the Nats, and they've been unbelievable, to me, I'm going to be off. I get, though, the price now at taking a stab, like especially first five.
Yeah.
With Heaney.
Yeah, I think at this price, it would be Washington for me. All right, Cleveland and Houston. Tristan McKenzie and the old man, Justin Verlander, still rocking and rolling here. We got Houston minus 180, home favorites, 8.5 the total here in this game. Tristan McKenzie, who is someone that I've tried to get behind and try to say, come on, you've got great stuff. You've just got to be more consistent with it and stop walking so many people. But he's still having these issues. Tristan McKenzie, and he's not been great. He got walloped by Seattle. He got crushed by the Yankees. He did pitch well against the White Sox, but it's the White Sox. He did pitch well against Oakland, but it's Oakland. And he did pitch okay last time against the Red Sox, but his pitch count kind of got up. So, I'm still a little leery of backing him, and he did get walloped by Houston last year. They hit him hard, 5 runs, 7 hits, 5 innings against the Astros last year. So he struggled with them. I still think there's a good pitcher in there somewhere, but it's just not been consistent. He's had control and command issues at times. He's had issues with the home run ball. So it's tough. I mean, I think at this price, I kind of want to take a shot with the Guardians. A team that's 19-10 compared to Houston's 10-19. A Cleveland team that's 11-6 on the road. But McKenzie's, up and down, and he got battered by Houston last year when he faced them. On the flip side, Verlander, he's been pretty consistent this year, 2 runs or less in 4 of his last 5 starts. So he's pitched pretty well. We'll see if he can keep that rolling here against this Cleveland Guardians team. He faced them once last year, and it was with the Mets before he got dealt at the trade deadline back to Houston, and 1 run in 8 innings, pitched well against Cleveland. So, yeah, I kind of lean Cleveland, but McKenzie is just, I have a hard time trusting him. I really do. Maybe over. Because these bats are swinging right now. We saw, obviously, a high-scoring game last night. Total's only 8.5. I kind of lean over, too. What do you think here, Connor?
Stimmy, my man. Yeah, Bobano's channel, guy. This is a new channel. So hit the subscribe.
I had a channel, but it got zapped like the Twitter account did. So, yeah, new channel, new Twitter, new everything. New man, new me.
New fresh. So, spread the word.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, my dude. Stimmy. Man, it's just Tristan McKenzie here. This price, I think's looking pretty good. I just don't think. I think his arm is messed up. I know he looks a little bit better, like that last start or two, but he's been awful on the road. He's all those starts were at home. These last 4, he hasn't been on the road much, and he kind of got by against the Red Sox. 2 earned, like you mentioned, 7 Ks, 2 walks. But before that, the control's off. This, he's walking 4, 6, 3. That's not going to cut it. We've seen the Astros finally break out, and I think there's going to be runs in this game.
Yep. That's what I was thinking. I think over's the safer play than the side with Cleveland. That's the way.
Yeah, and this has moved. Like most places, it's all. Well, no, it's now back 8.5. There was 9s a lot of places. Verlander, I thought looked all right. He kind of worked through some stuff. He had 4 walks against the Cubs. But only a second start. We know he's Justin Verlander. He's very good. He's older, but a great pitcher. I thought there'd be runs, and I don't know. I just can't hit the button here, Bobano, on the Guardians. So maybe if you like the Astros, look their team total. There's some props I'm on in this one. Altuve again. I had him yesterday. Good numbers: 5 for 9, 2 homers off McKenzie. And on the flip side, Jose Ramirez has owned Verlander. And I think he's like 12 for 30, 3 doubles, 3 homers. Look for him. His RBI's plus 155. I love him in the 3-hole. Been a cash cow for me for years.
No doubt. Yeah, he's been a good player prop guy for them for a long, long time. And see Matt going back to that well. Looks like the Royals are opening it up on the Blue Jays right now, 3-0 for Kansas City in the 6th inning.
I didn't move on the Royals. I had them yesterday. What'd you take in that game?
I actually passed on it.
Did you? Okay.
I passed on it. I actually leaned Toronto slightly, but not at minus 140. I was not interested, not at that price with the way.
Yeah, I think that price is off. That's why even the first few days, and they split it. But yeah, I wanted to go back to the Royals turned around. It's a young team. I think
Yeah,
they could be at least a 500 ball club when all said and done. Maybe better.
maybe better because right now, Connor, they are better than a 500
Oh yeah,
ball club. 18-13, second in the AL Central. Everybody but the White Sox is still alive in that AL Central right now. That's a wide open division right now.
for
Even
sure.
Cleveland. Cleveland's the first place, but I don't think they're going to run and hide. I
No.
think Kansas City, Detroit, Minnesota, they're going to be heard from. Those three teams in that division. All right, final game for this Wednesday slate. We go out west. LA Dodgers, Arizona Diamondbacks. Yamamoto for the Dodgers. Battle of lefties. Yamamoto for the Dodgers. Jordan Montgomery, playoff hero for the Texas Rangers last year. Pitched so well en route to the World Series. Now he's pitching for the team that he beat in the World Series last year, the Arizona Diamondbacks. We've got the Dodgers minus 150 road favorites, 9 the total here in this game. Is it just me, or I'm still waiting to be truly impressed by Yoshinobu Yamamoto? I'm still waiting, quite honestly. I mean, I know they think he's awesome. They think he's great. And he certainly showed flashes of it, but he's also had games where he's been rocked, like the first game over in South Korea with the Padres. He got hit around by the Padres again. He struggled with the Mets. He was good last time, but Washington, bit of a feeble lineup at times, but he did shut them out in 6 innings. We'll see how he fares here against Arizona and this Diamondbacks team. Jordan Montgomery, meanwhile, for the Diamondbacks, he's made 2 starts this year. He had a good one against San Francisco, and then he faced St. Louis. He was still okay, but he did give up 7 hits, 3 runs in 7 innings. We'll see how he fares here against the Dodgers, a team where he only gave up 1 run to them last year. He gave up 6 runs to them the year before that when he faced them as a member of the St. Louis Cardinals. So we'll see how he fares here. Very important. Both teams up against lefties, but there's one major difference. Dodgers have been much more proficient against lefties than the Diamondbacks. Dodgers 276 against lefties, Arizona 209 here against lefties so far. So we'll see how they fare here tonight in this game. But, this is one where I'd lean maybe a Dodgers team total over or a full game over. I'm kind of leaning in those 2 directions here. Maybe safer with the Dodgers. If you like the Dodgers, I would take the team total. I'd feel a little safer with that.
Yeah.
Yamamoto's a bit of a wild card still for me with the from a pitching standpoint. So maybe Dodgers team total and or full game over. I lean in those 2 directions here. What do you think, C-Mac?
Yeah. What's the? Just wanted to look at this real quick. Yeah, the 4.5 right around minus 130.
Yep.
For the Dodgers, it depends because now this line's moved to the Dodgers. Open around 135. It's moved about 20 cents to 155.
It is Dodgers off a loss, and I want to point that out.
Yes.
For years off a loss, they've been very good.
Exactly. And Yamamoto, we've seen the flashes, and I think he will be settled in and start to be really good. One thing is his control, which has been pretty good. And over there in Japan, though, he couldn't get away with it. Here in the bigs, these guys taking deep. But he definitely has the stuff, and it's shown. And his last few starts has looked better. He has, wavered a little bit in some of these, especially the road. Montgomery's a guy I like. I like to back him. He's a classic guy that seems like he's 10-10, but his ERA is always in the 3s. It's like 3-4 could keep you in a game. So tough. The Dodgers, I think if you look that way, maybe go that unless you want to go take them run line in this one. I just can't get over. I just think, off the loss, the lineup gets rolling. But I have a prop here. Andy Pages, back pages here. Bobano, he's been tearing the ball. 7 straight games. He's had a hit, multiple hits. Well needed. They might have brought him up quick, but they needed it. The bottom of the order is pathetic. So Andy Pages over 1.5 total bases plus 135. A little on his homer. Plus 500. Andy back pages.
There you go. All right, good stuff. And with the over 1.5 total bases and shot with the home run prop there as well. All right, there's your MLB for Wednesday. Time to roll over to the NBA, the playoffs, where we only have 2 playoff games tonight in the NBA, and we will begin with The Miami Heat trying to stay alive against the Boston Celtics. Boston looking to close it out up 3-1 here in Game 5 tonight. 14-point home favorites, 200 and a half the total here in this game tonight. Now, it worked out for me in Game 2, taking Miami off a loss as a big dog, and I wasn't sure they'd win the game outright, but they did cover. They won outright. I went back to it in Game 4. Miami off a loss, getting all those points, and that was a bad decision. Boston, once again, dominated, rolled to victory. Game 4 down in South Beach by a score of 102-88, covered the number at 20-point win the game before that. It's starting to look like Miami's losing belief, that they can win this series. And we know Boston's the better team. They're the healthier team, with Butler still out, Rozier still out. And to make matters worse, Jaime Jaquez is now out with that hip flexor. And this is a double-digit scorer for them the last several games for the Miami Heat. So where the hell's the offense outside of Tyler Hero and Caleb Martin going to come from tonight in this must-win game? I don't know. So it's tough to see Miami's offense being fluid. Bam's going to have a big step-up offensive night too, probably down low. Will he be able to do it? But here's the problem. You're laying the biggest number I think you've laid all series with Boston here, 14. They did show, in Game 2 at home, they fell asleep against Miami and allowed the Heat to win. And you don't have Porzingis. And Porzingis being out matters. Like, he's a big component offensively to what the Celtics like to do. You don't have that at your disposal tonight. This is just a tough game all around because Boston's the better team. They should win. They should close it out. They should want to get some rest for the second round, but it's not a cheap number. And for Miami, with Spoelstra leading the charge as the head coach, I don't expect them to roll over, even with no Butler, Rozier, and now no Jaquez either. So it's a really tricky game. I guess if you forced me to bet, and I haven't made a bet on this game, I doubt I will, I'd lean to Miami plus 14 rather than Boston minus 14. So I'd lean Heat, maybe the under as well. I don't understand why the totals actually stayed pat. I mean, we saw Game 3 under, Game 4 under, and now Miami's probably worse offensively without Jaquez. Boston's definitely worse offensively without Porzingis. So, it kind of feels like this is another under and maybe a third straight under here in this series. What do you think, Connor?
Yeah, I don't know how the Heat score here. And the line's though, right? Because we're going to get to the next game, which I like, but it's down to like 92 and a half. Timmy just put it, 94 and a half. That's a good number if you got it. With no Rozier already, Jaquez, Butler. Like, Jaquez stepped up. I mean, at least was scoring 15 a game.
Yeah.
We had talked about what he needed to do, and he was hot in that game too, where they hit a bunch of threes. They just don't have it. There's going to be a lot of, hold the ball. I just don't know where the scoring will be. Celtics win. I'm not laying this number. They've come through back to the first half ways. If you like laying first half points.
Yeah, I mean, certainly Celtics first half has been a good bet every game but Game 2 here in this series. So we'll see if that carries on here, Celtics first half. Second game, Dallas and the LA Clippers, best of 3, series tied 2-2 now, down to a best of 3. Dallas 3-point road favorites, 208 and a half is the total here in this game. Obviously, this has been a funny series here for this Clippers team in that you look at the way things have transpired here so far in the early going for the Clippers in this series, where they are 2-0 without Kawhi Leonard, but 0-2 with him. And sure enough, they are going to be without him again tonight here in Game 5. But they're 2-0 in this series without Kawhi Leonard. It just seems like it frees up Paul George more to be more assertive, James Harden to be more assertive. And it's almost like they've been a little bit more in sync, having no Kawhi Leonard rather than a bit of a hobbled, compromised Kawhi Leonard. So, but I do think this is a good spot for Dallas, a bounce back type of situation. Keep in mind they did win the last game without Kawhi, but Dallas shot the ball horrendously early in Game 4. Luka Doncic got in very early foul trouble in Game 4, and that was, I think, a huge problem for Dallas. It threw the flow completely out the window. It never got into any sort of flow because of that early foul trouble on Luka. I think they'll give Luka a few more calls tonight. That will help. And look, I have no problem at all backing Dallas on the road, the way they played on the road down the stretch. Since the All-Star break, this was a very good road team, the Dallas Mavericks. And look, there's been a back-and-forth series. Clips game 1, Mavs game 2. Actually, Mavs got it again in game 3, but Clips answered in game 4. I think this is a time where you zigzag here and take Dallas. I would go just the money line, though, now that it's up to -3. Don't lay the points. Just ask them to win the game. It's still, minus, the reasonable price there with the money line in most spots. So that's probably the way I'd approach it now. -145 or so for Dallas on the money line. I do like them here, the Mavs, to get the road win and take a 3-2 series lead. Connor, what do you think?
Yeah, you know what? Dallas wins this game. It's going to be the defense. It needs to step up big time. This is why I like the under again in this game. Clippers will not shoot 18 of 29 from 3. 62%, Bobano. They couldn't miss, and the Mavs just got down. It's kind of like game 1. And that horrible second quarter the Mavs had, too, where they scored like 8 points. Full game, I don't mind. But I'm getting even more, 107. I'm on the first half under. And one thing other than that game, I think the Mavs bring it. I haven't bet it yet, but I'm making maybe another bet. Is I took it in game 3. I don't know if the Mavs do come to play, I don't think they break 105. So I think their team total under, because I don't think they have a great shooting night. So I'm also looking at that one. I just don't trust the Mavs. Flat out. I just don't. Now they're laying points. Maybe they win, but I don't think they're beating a great Clippers team who's got their own problems. Harden had a huge game. So did George. They both had 33 apiece. It's just ugly. As much as I know what I got from the Nuggets, kind of now they get a little rested. And we talked about the T-Wolves, how that was unreal, that price and everything in that series, how good they are. Dallas doesn't beat them. I don't think so. Even if they win tonight and win the series, they don't go anywhere. But yeah, I'll just be on the under. I'm not going to mess with the side here.
All right, under it is for CMAC here with the Mavs and the Clips. All right, before we wrap up the show with best bets, let's get that NHL image up there. Yes, this is the time of the show where we ask CMAC for his thoughts on the Stanley Cup playoffs. Of course, you want my in-depth thoughts on the Stanley Cup playoffs. That's what the Ice Guys show is for. So you should be checking that out. Should have been out watching earlier today, but if not, check out the Ice Guys show or in podcast form. We had former pro hockey player over in Sweden, Eric Delarose, as a guest on the show today. Jacob Delarose's brother. So and he did a great job. So check it out, the Ice Guys show. I'll go more in depth with what I like in the 2 NHL playoff games tonight. CMAC will start with Vegas and Dallas. Dallas -150, home favorites, 5.5 the total. Series tied 2-2, down to a best of 3. What are you liking there?
Dallas has to be feeling really, really good, I think. But once we've seen from the series, home ice hasn't been a ton
4-0
at all.
Road team. Yep.
Yeah. And maybe this is debate, but this is how they had this price the first few. I just think there's too much value with the Knights. And I think it's tight. How can you not take a little bit on the draw here? This seems like it's got 3-2 all over it again. And you know what I mean? And goes to OT. 2-2, 3-3 maybe. Yeah. I've always had the Stars. They just can't get it done. And Vegas was so good last year. I don't know if they can turn that on. And they came out 2-0. I'm like, wow, Vegas is right back, and maybe I'm wrong here. And they can't get one of those at home, which I think is a little bit shook from that. But I don't trust the Stars, so I think you got to have something here on the Knights. It's just too good a price. They're too talented. So I think you look that way. I'm not going to mess with that total. This 5.5 is I'm going to leave it alone. Because I just think we could get this over, maybe get goals early, first period over. But I think as the game goes, it tightens. The other one, I think the Kings might be dead. They got to get everything they got. This game,
it feels
I
like
don't think
they lost their chance to win the game they should have won, which was game 4, where they outplayed
Oh,
it.
yes.
They carried the play. Skinner, he stoned them cold, shutout win, had chances. They couldn't put a puck in the net. They held Edmonton to what, 13, 14, 15 shots,
Yep.
and not win that game. I don't know where they're at mentally after that, because they were going to walk away from that thinking we should have tied the series up. It should be 2-2, and now they're down 3-1 going back to Edmonton. Tough ask for the Kings.
Definitely. That was just a swift kick to the nuts, because I thought they outplayed them for most of the whole game. You mentioned the shots and goal. It's like they tried that way. That was big for the Oilers, because I just get back. I think you take the over here, Bobano. I don't know. I
think we go back to high scoring fire wagon hockey again in Edmonton, like in the first two games. Yep.
So do I. I was a little bit shocked that it was just that. I mean, they both played well. The defenses were solid. The goalies were great, and and there could have been a goal or two more there. But I got to go back here to the over, especially at 6. They are
it was 7-4 and 5-4. Game 1, game 2 in Edmonton in this series.
Yeah, and that's what the mistake that 6 was game 2. I'm like, come on, you got to take it with these two teams. So over in that one, even first period over, or go with the 2. You know what I mean? There's the push there, but it's right around. I think the one last -140, but I think we get back to a couple goals in this one. I think the Kings, I think they can get a couple. Some of those guys that are just a little bit disappointing in the last one can get a few in. So yeah, over. I go over here.
14-3, by the way. No, sorry, 13-4.
13-4 now,
in the last 17 playoff games head-to-head for the LA Kings versus the Edmonton Oilers. Now, this is over the last 3 years. This is the third year in a row they're playing each other in the first round. And in the 17 playoff games, 13 overs, 4 unders. So for some reason, it's just high scoring most of the time. These two teams play each other in the playoffs. It's pretty, like last year, there was only 1 under in the whole series. I think the first year it was 4 overs and 3 unders. That's the year where, actually, no, there was two unders that year, 1 under last year, and it was 1 under this year. And of course, that was game 4. So those are the 4 unders. Every other playoff game, Oilers Kings, the last 3 years has gone over the total, other than 4, 13-4.
And the 6. That's what it's like. You get the push here. That Jake, you got to work with that. Because I think we get it. It goes over, in my opinion. You're not messing with the 6.5. You get the 6 here. I think it's a must take.
That's probably why it's a good bet tonight. Because you probably should have taken it wasn't easy because the first 3 games, in the LA Edmonton series went over the total. But game 4 might have been that shot to take the under, because the total for the first time went up to 6.5. In game 4. Yeah. And sure enough, it was 1-0. Now, because of that game being so low scoring, not just that it stayed under, but there was just 1 goal, I think it compelled odds makers to drop this total for game 5 by a half a goal back down to 6. And that's why I think now you go the other way again. And look to see more of what we saw in game 1 and 2 in Edmonton. And again, we saw 11 goals in game 1 in Edmonton and 9 in game 2. In Edmonton. So, and keep in mind, there's an elimination game. So if Edmonton's up in the third period, pull the goalie early, and you could see a goal explosion if LA's trailing in the third period.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, especially if they get down. And then even if the Kings, get up, the Oilers with their firepower right back.
Yeah.
Kind of like we saw in game 2. So yeah, for sure.
Good props too. I'll throw this out here. I should be making you watch the Ice Guys show, guys. I really should, but I'll throw out a couple of the things I said on there. Wyatt Johnston for Dallas over shots on goal. He's had 8 and 6 in the last 2 games. Shots on goal. It's only 3.5. He's up on the top line now with Jason Robertson and Rope Hintz. So Wyatt Johnston over shots on goal. Anything Wyatt Johnston. That kid's amazing for the Dallas Stars. He's been great. And in this game, Adrian Kempe, I think, for the LA Kings. Look, he's been shooting the puck a lot. He's one of their best scorers. He's going to have to shoot the puck a lot, facing elimination, backs against the wall. So Adrian Kempe, I think, is a good player prop target, that over shots on goal. Yeah, I think his shots on goal, Fiala as well, and their goals. And then Trevor Moore, too. He's been shooting the puck. Trevor Moore. Yep. If you want to dig deeper, I mean, these guys got to get it done on the wing, Byfield, because I always think there's some value in that range of 360, 370, whatever he's at.
around the books. You know what I mean?
ESPN, NHL doubleheader tonight. Both games on ESPN. So that's where they will be. Looking forward to it. All right, best bets to wrap up this edition of Bet with Bobano. Another great show. CMAC, what do you like for best bet?
Let's get to it. To the NBA. First half, I got to take it under 107. The Clippers might shoot it better, but they ain't going 18 to 29 here from 3, 62%. So under early and often. Clippers, Mavs.
Clippers, Mavs, first half under for CMAC with his best bet. My best bet here for this card tonight. Let me see. Will I go to the NBA or will I go to MLB? Let me see here. Tough choice. I think I'm going to go to MLB, and I'm going to take that over with the Guardians and the Astros. Over 8.5, minus 110, minus 115. Still don't know if McKenzie is fully right for the Guardians. And Verlander's been solid, but, don't look now. Cleveland's starting to pound the baseball. What did they score? 9 runs last night. Houston is starting to pound the baseball. They've scored a lot of runs the last 3-4 games. So both offenses are starting to pick up a little bit. And 8.5, reasonable total, in my opinion. So Cleveland, Houston, we'll go with that. Over 8.5 for my best bet for this Wednesday. All right, great stuff. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Appreciate you joining us. Hit the like button. We're here Mondays and Wednesdays, 4 p.m. Eastern, right here on Bet with Bobano. So we'll be back Monday. That'll be our next show. Looking forward to it. CMAC, anything you want to say before we wrap it up?
No, thanks for joining. Hit the like button, like we said on the top. Hit the subscribe. Do all that good shit. Get rolling. Appreciate it. I will see you on Monday.
Absolutely. We'll be back on Monday, same time as usual. For Connor Mack, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Wednesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. Bet like Tony Soprano. Bet with Bobano. And we will see you again on Monday for another edition of Bet with Bobano.